Hello, my name is Tawana Brown, and I just want to thank you for attending our Before You Go webinar series. We are excited to have you and hope that you can gain a little bit of knowledge for conversations to have with your student when they return home. Our first presentation will be from the university registrar, and they'll share a little bit about their process in their office and why their office is beneficial to you and your student. Morgan, I'll turn it over to you.
All right, thank you so much. My name is Morgan Jackson, and I am the Assistant University Registrar over the transfer credit area. So I did just want to share some information about where students can find information about transfer credit and who they can contact in case they have any additional questions. So the easiest way to find our information is to go to the registrar website at registrar.ua.edu. And then scroll down and you'll see a grid where you can select transfer credit. Once you click on that, it will bring up all of the information that you need in order to answer any transfer credit information or questions that you have. You can click on each of the categories, they'll pop out and they'll answer things like, how do you transfer credit? What kinds of credit comes over? What the process is, how long it takes, those sorts of things. We also have some great tools, including the transfer equivalency tables, which I'll show an example of in just a few minutes. And we have credit by examination that lists all of the credit by examinations that we will receive and process, including specific tests and scores that students need. And we also have access to the STARS area, which shows our Area 5 information for students who are coming in from the Alabama community colleges. This can also be direct linked, as you can see below. We do request that any official transcripts and test scores be sent to transfer credit at ua.edu from the originating institution. We cannot accept emailed or opened copies of transcripts directly from students. And students can access letters of transiency in the MyBama app. When you're looking at the transfer credit tables, this is pretty straightforward. First, you'll select the state that the school is in. Second, you'll select the actual school. And then once that's done, the tables will pop up. Now, there are two types of courses to look for when you're looking at the transfer credit tables. The first, you will see where you have the word group. It'll have a number and letter in that section. If there is a number and letter in that section, that means that there is a combination of courses a student must take in order to get a specific equivalency. So for example, here you see at Shelton State Community College, a student would need to take Business 241 and 242 in order to get Accounting 210 at the University of Alabama. And they will additionally have some credit for Accounting 197, which is elective credit. If you don't see a number and letter beside a course under the group section, that means that the student will have a one-to-one equivalency, so one course for one equivalency. And now I'll pass it to Brian Jones.
Hi, everyone. My name is Brian Jones. I'm the Assistant University Registrar over Graduation and Degree Works. So I'm here to talk a little bit about graduation and a little bit about Degree Works. As you can see here on my first slide, this is the registrar.ua.edu homepage. It's where we put all of our information that we find that you might need. As you see up in the top bar there, we've got the graduation tab. If you just click on that, it'll take you to the next page, which is our graduation homepage. And also, I was going to mention at the bottom there, if you ever have any questions about graduation, please don't hesitate to ask us a question. Email us at graduation@ua.edu, and one of our graduation people will be happy to get back to you. All right, so once you click on that tab, this is our homepage for the graduation area of our office. As you can see there, we've got several different links in the middle in those bars. We've got all sorts of information there. For instance, the applying to graduate is the first one there. It tells you what the process is for applying to graduate, It tells you about what fees are involved. There is a $51 graduation fee, which is everyone gets for applying to graduate here at the University of Alabama. It mentions other fees as far as like late fees. If you're after the deadline, there is a $25 late fee. If you get denied, you are refunded all of the $51 minus a $10 processing fee. So you'll get 41 of it back if you are denied for graduation that term. There's also information about degree and past attendance verification. There's information about degree awarding, graduation requirements, and things like that. We've got diploma replacement there, information about that. So a lot of times we may have an issue with a diploma getting sent out and it may be being bent, or what to do in that situation. Also what to do if later on down the road you want another diploma. All that information is there. Apostille is more international information. So if you need a apostille certification for international diplomas, then all the information that you need is listed there. And then we have a fairly new thing called a certified electronic diploma. And for those that that graduate coming up, you'll be sent an email once graduation is over with from our diploma company, which is Paradigm. They'll be sending every student an email basically offering them the CE diploma. I think it's about $10.95 for that. So it's really affordable. And it basically gives you an electronic version or PDF, certified PDF version of the diploma that they can take and share with other people. It's great for international students. It's great for those who are applying for jobs and want to send their electronic diploma out to other people that may request it. The cool thing about it is it has a code on the electronic diploma that you can come back to our website and enter it in, and it'll verify and show this student did graduate at the University of Alabama. So pretty neat. Again, this is our graduation webpage. Again, if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out at graduation@ua.edu. Next thing I kind of wanted to mention was I feel like it's very important is the academic calendar. As you can see, we have our own area. Like if you just click on the term, it's going to show everything on the academic calendar for that term. But if you click on where I circled there, the graduation tab, it'll show just graduation dates, important graduation dates. Things like what's the deadline for graduation for each term? When do I need to have my transfer credit in? What's the last day that I can update my name or diploma shipment information, address information? What's the last day? When are they going to sign off on degrees? When are they going to ship my diploma out? All this information can be found here on the academic calendar and then the graduation tab. And you can get to this academic calendar by going to registrar.ua.edu/academic calendar. And if you have any questions about the graduation part of this, don't hesitate to reach out to graduation@ua.edu. Another thing I wanted to mention was commencement. We used to handle commencement in our office, but now that is actually handled with University Ceremonies and Events Office. And so we no longer handle the actual ceremony part of graduation. But if you have questions about the ceremony, they have their own website, which is commencement.ua.edu. And you can email, they have their separate email address, which is commencement@ua.edu. And they'll be happy to answer any questions you might have about the ceremony. DegreeWorks. So some things I wanted to mention about DegreeWorks. I can't really go into showing you DegreeWorks, but I wanted to mention what students can do with DegreeWorks. So DegreeWorks is basically an online audit tool to show what students need to graduate. It has everything from course requirements to GPA requirements, how many courses are needed, all sorts of things in there. And so basically it's just a checklist showing students what they need to graduate. It gives them a percentage. When they get to 100%, they are complete with their degree. But it has also certain tools within the DegreeWorks audit system that you can use to help you kind of make your way through the UA their time at UA. One tool that's very popular is the planner tool. And what that does is it really helps you to build a roadmap to graduation and stay on track. You can kind of do this on your own before your advising time, or you can go through this with your advisor. Each college kind of does it differently, but you can kind of map out what you're going to take each term so that you can see, are you on track to graduate? And I think it really helps students stay on track. If your student is looking at maybe changing majors, the what if tool is really helpful. It allows you to basically look at the courses that the student has taken and see what those courses would look like if they were to pursue a degree in a different degree or a different major. So I think that can be very helpful as well. And the GPA calculator is nice too. It'll allow you to see what you need to get to a certain GPA or to calculate a GPA. There's different options there within that. But I encourage you to kind of play around with that, or your students to play around with that. And this is, the student can access DegreeWorks through MyBama. There are buttons all throughout MyBama to access it, but you can go there directly by going to degreeworks.ua.edu, and they can log in with their MyBama information there. But if you have any questions, any further questions about DegreeWorks, we have a couple of people that work just primarily on DegreeWorks. So you can email us at degreeworks@ua.edu, and we'll be happy to help out if we can. Thank you.
All right, I guess I'll go next here. If I can share my screen here. Okay, here we go. All right, my name is Barry Graves. I'm the Assistant University Registrar over Registration and Residency. My topics will be kind of adding to Brian's discussion there of the academic calendar. We'll talk about FERPA, and I'll also discuss proxy access. Now, to reach the academic calendar, as Brian pointed out, you can get there a couple different ways. You can go to registrar.ua.edu and just click on the icon there, kind of circled in the red oval there. Now, the calendar is overseen by the Office of the University Registrar, but the various dates and other content are actually approved by the Office for Academic Affairs. As you can see, it's set up by terms. So we have fall, spring, and summer. This would be considered one academic year. You can select full term, fall 2, which is kind of a mini term in the second half of fall. Of course, law school has their 4 sections, and then ELI, which is the English Language Institute. It's mainly for international students. As Brian pointed out earlier, you can select different categories to choose from rather on the calendar. So you can do, it defaults to all events, but if you just want to look at registration, which I have in this case, and I selected hide past months. So what that does is it eliminates anything that's already passed. So it's just looking at today's date forward. And if you hit print, it'll print whatever's underneath it here. So pretty self-explanatory. It's a very, very useful tool to have. So we'll move on to FERPA. Now FERPA you can reach pretty much the same way as the calendar, registrar.ua.edu, and click on the FERPA icon here, and it'll load up the this page here with the gray bars. Now I added this pink box, that won't be on there, but the gray bars or boxes will be. And these, I'm not going to go over each of one of these today, but each one covers a different area in regard to UA policy and FERPA. So the important thing here is, of course, what is FERPA, right? It's the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act of 1974, as amended. It's a federal law that protects the privacy and confidentiality of personally identifiable information contained within student educational records. So UA policy complies with FERPA's confidentiality protections, and we adhere to the procedures dealing with student education records and directory information recommended by the American Association of Collegiate Registrars and Admissions Officers, also known as ACRO. So the big takeaway here is when a student reaches 18 years of age or enrolls in a level of education beyond high school, they control their own educational records. Even if mom and dad or Uncle Charlie pay all the bills, the student has a right to privacy regarding their educational records. So what types of records can be handled in a secure way? Well, we generally keep, registration forms, grades and transcripts. We secure those. Student information displayed on a computer screen. This is primarily for advisors and members of faculty who deal with students. They, of course, when they finish an advising session, they don't need to leave that information up on their laptop for another student to see it, for the next appointment. Student schedules, class assignments, class rosters, and any electronic or paper document the student's ID or grades on, or social security number, of course. Again, FERPA is not to alienate mom and dad. Instead, its general purpose is to protect education records from disclosure without the student's consent. So again, these are the types of records we would expect to see handled securely at the university. But there are records that can be released. Directory information, any information students given written consent to release, information needed by UA employees. A lot of times maybe VMA, which is our Veterans and Military Affairs Office, might reach out to us for information, or scholarship folks might reach out to us. And of course, information needed by certain government agencies. So what does directory information, what does that cover? Well, it covers student name, their preferred or nickname, date of birth, all sorts of different address information there, their email address, whether they're enrolled and what is their enrollment status. Are they full-time? Are they part-time? What level are they? Are they freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, or beyond? What school or college do they belong to? What's their major? Do they earn a degree? When do they earn that degree? Did they receive any honors? Did they graduate Latin honors? Cum laude, magna cum laude, summa cum laude, right? Did they attend any other colleges, universities prior to attending UA? What were their dates of attendance at UA? Are they involved in any activities on campus? Any recognized activities or members of organizations such as social or Greek organizations? In all my years in this field, I've never had anybody ask me for a student's weight or height. So I believe those generally go to athletics. But still, this would be considered directory information. Now, what isn't considered, part of the educational record? Personal notes, and these usually apply to advisors. So advisors have their own advising notes. Those generally aren't considered part of the educational record. Department of Public Safety records, these are maintained solely for law enforcement purposes and revealed only to law enforcement agencies. Employment records, of course, this is not contingent upon being a student, that form of employment. So this doesn't cover student employment. Student medical records and alumni records. Now, student medical records are maintained by the Student Health Center. It's a different area on campus. I do believe they are under HIPAA. So I did put a little blurb here about HIPAA, or the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. People can look that up at hipaa.ua.edu. And again, that is maintained by the Student Health Center and not our office. So we'll go a little bit further into FERPA here. If you go back to navigate to registrar.ua.edu, click on the MyBama icon here, it'll still be prompted to log in. So they use their username and their password, and it'll pull up MyBama. It should look something like this. This is the left-hand panel of MyBama. And this is the MyBanner links tree. If a student does not want any of their directory information reported to a third party or an external office, they can actually click this link here. It'll pull up and say, would you like to place a confidentiality hold on your record? They check the box yes and hit submit. It's that simple. Likewise, they can grant access. If they want to give their parents or legal guardian access, they can click this link here, verify the parent or guardian's information, and hit submit, and all of a sudden that person's name's on the system. So that comes in handy if a parent has any questions about student billing or financial aid. It's good that the student submits that. And again, this is all controlled by the student. It's the student's educational record, and they decide who they grant access or who they do not grant access to. So we do send out every fall, I believe it's like the first week, we send out an annual notification to all students. We send that to their Crimson email account, and it'll basically state students have the right to inspect and review their educational record. They have the right to have some control over the disclosure of information from their record, and they have the right to seek and amend records, incorrect records, I should say. Now, this may elicit some boos here from maybe parents maybe watching this or eventually watch this, but as it states here, parents' ability to access student information is not a right. Again, per FERPA, college students are in control of their own educational records. Parents may obtain directory information. They may obtain non-directory information by obtaining a signed consent. Now that signed consent is referring to this here. If a student submits a record release for their parent or guardian, that's considered a signed consent at UA. Existence of a signed consent does not constitute a power of attorney. What that means is just because there's a FERPA release on file doesn't mean the parent can call up the school and say, hey, I want to drop all my students' classes for this term, or hey, I want to register, so on and so forth. Those things are the students' right. That is the students in charge of their own record. They're in charge of registering themselves for classes. They're in charge of, withdrawing themselves from classes, so on and so forth. Now, this is the other kind of the center panel of MyBama. So when the students first log in, this is kind of the left kind of hand side of it. And the center is all these nice icons here. But we're going to be looking at this one here with the little person there with the, I don't know, hula hoop around their feet. It's a designate a proxy. So if you click on this icon, it's the first time a student clicks on it, it's going to pull up this consent agreement. And the agreement the student must basically comply with says, I will not share my student ID or password with others. I understand any information I enter or change will be effective immediately unless otherwise noted. I take full responsibility for any changes made using my student ID or password. I understand FERPA regulations and will uphold the privacy regulations outlined by the University of Alabama. And essentially to indicate that they agree, they'll click continue. And it's going to pop up a little page like this. It's going to have a blurb again about FERPA. And to add the proxy, they'll click this little person down here with the add proxy link. It's going to pull up this information here. They'll enter that person's name, first name, last name, their email address, and they'll verify it. And when they hit add proxy, it's going to send this email. It's auto-generated to whomever the student assigned to have proxy access to their account. This is a temporary login. So when the parent or legal guardian or spouse clicks on this link, they'll enter this temporary password. It's immediately going to ask them to assign a new password. Again, students are in control of this, not the university office, the university registrar, not IT, not student account services, not financial aid. Students control all proxy access to their MyBama information. So for additional information on proxy access, you can go to registrar.ua.edu/student-services-proxy-access, and there's even a tutorial video there. And if you have any questions, of course, feel free to reach out to us here in the Office of University Registrar at registrar@ua.edu. But again, the important takeaway is that students are responsible for their educational records. Thank you.
Thank you so much for attending and joining us today for our webinar series. We hope that you've gained some valuable information that you can share with your student to help them progress and get registered for classes and any other questions that they may have that they may ask you about. We hope that you as parents are a great resource, but highly encourage your student to do all of these things on their own. They are also able to reach out to the registrar's office, and we would encourage that. We just would like for you to be able to have the resources that you need to be able to support and guide them to the right resource. Again, we thank you for attending our Before You Go series. Another thank you to the registrar's office for providing us with this valuable information. Please do not hesitate to reach out to our office or to the registrar's office with the number that they provided. And thank you. Have a great rest of your day and roll Tide.